It is a brand new edition of Flyers Daily. How about the last day of the month of September 2024? Flyers Daily, as always, presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Here we are, Bill. Bill Meltzer joining us, by the way, from PhiladelphiaFlyers.com, NHL.com, and HockeyBuzz.com. You know that because it's Monday. How about that, Bill? Tomorrow we flip the calendar over to October.
It is, yes. I mean, just the final week of the preseason here, which, every step along the way, you're just anxious to get to the next step. We always count down to camp, right? Okay, get the skate tests out of the way. Looking forward to the scrimmages. Okay, looking forward to some actual games. We're all at the point now. We're kind of tired of exhibition games, and we're ready for the season. So to get through this week.
Yeah, based on what happened on Saturday night at Wells Fargo Center, first of all, really good crowd for a preseason game. Yeah. And there sure was a vibe in the building, Bill. Like, people are having fun already. Usually preseason, it's like, hey, come check it out, maybe a couple periods and go home.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly had a lot to do with number 39.
Uh-huh.
He brought a lot of people into the building, and there was a lot of excitement every time he touched the puck, So.
Every time he jumps over the boards, there's something to be said for fans being curious because of his presence, then being curious enough to go, let me go down to a preseason game, see what this guy's all about. And then to have him deliver now on just about every game he's been in, including the rookie game, that person goes and tells 10 friends, and that person had a damn good time because they saw what they came to see.
Yeah. No, for sure. Actually, my son went with a couple buddies of his, and I didn't know he was coming until he actually texted me, "Hey, I'm walking in the building." He and his friend they came to see Olle Lycksell to a degree, but really to watch Michkov, and they had a blast. So that was pretty cool.
I said to Brian Smith after the game when we opened up the postgame show, I said, inject Matvei Michkov into my veins as a shot of adrenaline, because he's, in a lot of ways, he's given the franchise a shot of adrenaline. We've talked about the excitement because of his presence is heightened, and we see it in kind of what we do, and just talking to people when we're out and about him and those kind of things. But the thing about him, Bill, is he doesn't seem like it makes him nervous at all, the excitement people have due to his presence. It seems like he kind of relishes on this opportunity of being in the spotlight in the greatest league in the world.
He really does. I mean, things he was saying before he came over, came through translation, whatever, but it was kind of like, he likes to kind of put on a little bit of a show, right?
He does. He's a showman.
He enjoys that. He feeds off the energy. And one thing that's clear already, too, is that his teammates feed off his energy. It can be preseason. And, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in a minute, too. They've already laid down a gauntlet. You will not touch our best player. I mean, or potentially our best player anyway.
Yeah.
They'll stand up for any teammate. But they made that very clear, at first. No one's going to push him around.
Yeah, so. Think twice before acting when Sean Couturier does do that. Let's talk about that, and then we're going to get to more specifically Michkov's play. But Michkov's getting roughed up in the corner. It's Sweezy, and he goes in first high on Michkov, and then he wants to kind of like have that moment of, hey kid, welcome to the NHL. It ain't gonna be that easy here. Like, who the hell's that? Who is Sweezy to kind of determine that, first of all? But second of all, so he throws a couple slashes at him, and Michkov doesn't back down. But what does Sean Couturier do? I think he had 7 NHL regular season fights prior to that.
Yeah.
And now 2 preseason fights. He's always actually fared pretty well in fights, though, too. But you don't expect Sean Couturier. He's not a fighter.
No.
To go after him, but he was on the ice and he didn't hesitate a nanosecond.
No, made a beeline right for Sweezy, and then
and it wasn't to go wrestle; it was to fight.
It was to fight. Yeah, that was exactly right. That wasn't just the Billy Sweezy or the Bruins. It was really to the NHL. Everybody knows what he has the opportunity to become, and he can stick up for himself, but everyone has his back. That set that message loud and clear. And to me, that was the one big takeaway from that game. And also within the game, and listen, Flyers were losing 1-0. They were not playing well in that first period. You have that, it energized the bench, it energized the crowd, and lo and behold, they score the next shift too.
14 seconds later.
And it really, the whole complexion of the rest of the game was different. After the first period, the Flyers really controlled the rest of that game, and that was the moment that really changed a lot of things. So that's the one thing maybe from the entire preseason, other than maybe the winner he scored in overtime or this, whatever moments might be remembered. That to me will be the moment that they'll carry into the season, because it was such a message sending kind of a moment.
And look, early in a season, you're starting to look for the beginning traits of identity.
Yeah.
Identity doesn't travel off seasons. I don't believe it does.
Yeah.
Parts of it can. Yeah, we're a hardworking team. Everybody should be a hardworking team. That's you don't get bonus points for that.
Yeah.
But identity is the things that organically happen without having to think about it. And last year there was a belief that came in because it was kind of us against the world, and they got off to a good start. So belief's easy to grow when you can water it with wins. And everybody's sharpening their game this time of year. I think you're dead right. That's the one thing that will travel into the season as the beginning of something, because they seem to just really enjoy his presence. From the standard episode where Couturier's trying to teach him how to swing a golf club, for goodness sake, how to hold it, and just they seem like he seems jovial, and like the reaction to an overtime preseason win last night, everybody bopping his head, like they were into it, and he's kind of brought a lot of joy with him from overseas as well.
He has. You can see, he first of all he enjoys learning from just assimilating to the team atmosphere over here, to the game over here. Like he's having a blast, and that the fun he's having is palpable. Obviously his English is getting better too, but he doesn't have to speak because you can see it.
Yeah. Bill, the thing about it too is for him, you never know when you're building teams or how the complexion of a team or the sum of the parts changes with 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 or 5 additions. You don't know. Sometimes you can make 5 changes to a team which are seemingly upgrades, but you get the same thing. Yeah. Sometimes you make 1, and it's a huge difference. Like I'll go back to the summer of 2019 when some of the additions, obviously Kevin Hayes was an addition, but Tyler Pitlick was an addition. And he made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Now, Michkov is obviously a huge addition. It slots everybody differently, and the way he plays the game with his playmaking, which we saw and we've seen all through the preseason, it makes players around him better, and it's going to deliver better matchups across the board.
Yeah, and we'll see. Obviously, as the competition gets better, the checking gets tighter. All things that are going to come in the season, and the grind of the season. The KHL season, is a grind too, with even more travel because Russia's so huge. But there are just there's many challenges that await him. But just in terms of, he's so far. I think one thing that's kind of stood out is that if you are open and if there is space, if you give him time and space, he will. I'm talking about a playmaking sense. He will find the open guy. He will get the puck to him.
Yeah.
And other teams are going to have to adjust that, and that's going to open things up for really everybody.
Yeah.
Whether they're on his line or not, there's a carryover piece of that. That's the kind of guy that really he's going to be a significant impact player. It's not just going to be a number, just about be about points that he puts up, right? I think you can see those elements are there to be able to be a guy who really can make a play that actually takes over a shift, over time, takes over a game. That's not an expectation off the bat for anybody, but the potential to be one of those guys who really can just impact an entire game because of something he can do that he makes look easy that 99% of guys can't do because they don't see it. They don't see the play there. I mean, he really his anticipation and his offensive hockey sense are the real deal. You can see it.
I liked him and Connect Me on the power play together, and the way that they switched off on the wall.
Yes.
And Michkov gets down below the goal line, and he finds a way to kind of make himself invisible, where the other team is like, I'm going to kind of drift to an area that's inconsequential, and then I'm going to sneak into an area that is the most highly consequential area.
Yeah.
And he comes out from below the goal line, and he just sticks that stick there for Olle Lycksell. Yeah. Doesn't put his body there to garner the attention of the defender, but the stick is there, and it's a great target for Lycksell, and he nails it.
He absolutely made himself a great target, and I mean, Lycksell found him, so that's obviously crucial to the play too. I'll tell you what it reminded me of. It reminded me of like a left-handed shooting Danny Briere.
Yeah,
because Danny would hide out behind the net or behind or below the goal line, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's right there by the post, often for a slam dunk.
Yep, and he wouldn't go there until the play developed where he was an option.
Yeah. So he wouldn't attract attention until all of a sudden, oh my goodness, well, it's in the net.
Yeah. That's what smart offensive players do. They know when to go to the area. Some guys will go there. They'll go, I'm supposed to go to the net. I'll go there, and then I'll get covered. If you go there at the right time, they don't have a chance to adjust to you being there, especially when you're coming out from behind the net. Lycksell's making quite a case here, Bill. He's had a really good preseason. This is a guy we've seen in the NHL. Is this a situation, a couple of primaries last night? He's playing power play time. Look, if he makes the team, he's probably not going to be a power play player. But he's controlled what he's been able to control, and he's putting them into a decision. Is this a 14-7 thing that you take out of camp with Lycksell?
Well, right now, if you go into that first road trip, I don't think there's been. No, I'm going to say that I think that Emil Andre has earned some consideration, but he's still waiver exempt, just in a second year. You have kind of other players who do some similar things, and I think when the decision comes down, he'll at least start in Lehigh Valley. But I think he's had a good camp. So I think Emil has actually earned consideration to be among the latter guys in camp as the cuts come.
But he's got
right now, but right now, I think you go in with 70, and Lycksell's really right on the cusp here. And one thing that Couturier mentioned it too, but I thought Ulla had a really good point. That it was really just everybody had to get through those first 4 days, and you do the skate test. You have the back-to-back scrimmages in the first 2 days, and then Lycksell plays in back-to-back games after that.
Yeah,
and he was very honest. He was tired in that Montreal game. Everybody was, and he traveled day of game. You throw that game out, but that can actually be the kind of game that just throws somebody off, right? He didn't have a good. I mean, the team didn't play well, but he individually did not have a good second game. But what he did was, okay, take a deep breath. We have a day off here, and then I can go out and play. I mean, he's played in 3 of the 4 exhibitions so far. And what's happened the last 2 outings he's had, right? Or rather, the last outing he had, he played so much better, and he looked so much better at practice too. Confident, making plays and whatnot, and that's part of it too. It's not just how you impress during a game or during a practice or whatever. Really, it's how you stand up to the grind and bounce back, which is just a little bit of rest there, and that's something they're looking for too. It's not only who you set up or whatever. It's really just how you stick to it when maybe you are a little bit tired, and then you have an opportunity to come back strong the next time out.
The way he's been put into the lineups in 3 of those 4 games is telling that they're giving a very serious look, and he's making a very serious case.
Sure is.
Another guy that's making a case, Bill, is Jett Luchanko. He hasn't flashed offensively, maybe the way he did early in camp when there was less NHL players really in the lineup. Not that the Bruins had a whole heck of a lot of that in that game, but the usage of other players shows you the seriousness with which they're giving Luchanko a look. And I'm talking in particular about Scott Lawton and Noah Cates,
Yes.
who have both played 2 games and both played them on the wing.
Yes.
What have you thought about Luchanko over the last week, where maybe he's not popping as much,
Yeah.
doesn't look like he doesn't belong, but is he still making enough of a case to put them to a test?
Well, so I would say that in terms of his attention to detail, his overall game, he's such a hockey smart player. Exceptionally good without the puck. Really skates well. And it's kind of a little bit of the same point as with Lycksell before. You'll see him knocked off the puck because he's still not totally physically mature yet. But when he loses the puck, he battles for it. I mean, he'll battle to get it back, and that's kind of just as important as winning the battle, especially in the preseason. Especially a player as young as he is. All that's been so impressive. The offense, it flashes of it here and there. Really some nice subtle plays. Not throwing pucks away, that kind of thing. He made a nice play off the rush to set up a chance in Thursday's game, or in Saturday's game rather. So it's a play here, a play there. I don't think he's been breaking down the door offensively.
Yeah.
Even like in some of the games where it takes a while for the game before, like where Michkov was involved in so many chances and nothing went in until the third period. But just knocking on the door. Every shift something is happening, right? That really hasn't been the case with Luchanko. Really, it's kind of been his all-around game. If it were my decision to make, I would still send him back to Guelph for one more year.
Yeah, I would as well.
And I remember a very different kind of a player, right? Travis Konechny and Jett Luchanko are very different kind of players. But I remember when TK had his first camp with the Flyers' first exhibition game was in Allentown. PPL Center had opened up. It was still a new building. Had an exhibition game there, and he scored in the game. And I believe he scored a nice assist his second time out. And immediately, oh, well, he's ready. Get him up here, right? Flyers don't have offense. And the Flyers made it, thank goodness, because I think he was better for it. He went back to the Ottawa 67s, ended up being traded after the World Juniors to a contending team. But I think being able to play World Juniors, being able to play 20-something minutes a night, rather than so many times you see with young players particularly, they may look very good in camp, and they may look very good early in the season. And then what happens by late November, December, is they hit a wall. And it happens to more than it doesn't happen to. And I don't want a situation where Luchanko comes in and he's playing well, hits a bit of a wall. He's already burned the first year of his entry-level deal. And he hasn't scored in 4 weeks.
Yeah,
right?
Now you got to protect him in a lot of ways.
You gotta protect, exactly. And now he's playing 10, 11 minutes a night.
Yeah, that's not good.
I just think you get the big picture in mind. Let him go to the Ontario League one more season. I mean, he'll only just turned 19 right before next season. It's not So I mean, he is one of the youngest players in his draft class, and I think that Brad Shaw really hit it on the head where he talked about he's going to get bigger, he's going to get stronger. The things he has to, and it's really just kind of an organic development. He doesn't need any kind of massive change in anything. Just continuing to evolve.
Yeah, he's not Matthew Strome where you got to rebuild his skating strides.
Exactly. Not even like Tyson Forster, who he needed a ton of work on his skating. You have when he was first drafted. I think all the pieces are there. Another year from now in the Ontario League will not hurt him. And I think he'd only benefit from it. I really do. So, I think he's earned the right to stay around late in the camp, maybe even very late in camp, be among the final decisions made. If he were to make the team, I would really want to see those 9 games go right. Get him in, because sometimes you'll see it really stretched out over a period of time. where goes a few weeks where he's not in the lineup. Then you get him in the American League, and you have him have his conditioning stint, and he gets game number 9 in sometime mid-late November, and he's
it's not enough hockey.
It's not enough hockey, right? It's ultimately not enough ice time in general.
Yeah.
When he does play, and then it feels like a demotion. I don't care how mature the kid is, it's a disconnment to go back down.
Yeah, these guys aren't used to being cut.
I know for sure. I think Mike Knuble made this point actually on his podcast, where he said right now all the video work it's all praise. All the things he's doing well.
Yeah.
Right? What's going to happen in the video sessions when the season starts with John Tortorella they're going to point out his mistakes.
Yeah. In games that matter.
Yeah, as the games matter, and yes, they'll still show positive plays, but the way that a lot of these video sessions get done, it shifts, and the feedback you get isn't always as positive. I mean that happens with every player.
Yep.
But again, a player as young as he is, and I just think you give it time. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even know how that works with a player who comes to camp. He gets drafted, signs a ZLC at development camp, then he comes to camp, and he probably thinks, I'm one of the youngest players in the draft. I'm not going to make the team. And then you make the team. It's like, where am I going to? Is my mom or dad going to move down? Like they're that young. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to grocery shop.
Well, that's all part of it too.
I mean,
you have in junior hockey because you have a billet family.
Yeah, they're doing all that.
So it's he's done none of that. They live in the hotel during camp. It's just there's just so many things beyond just on the ice.
Yeah, there's a lot to it
in development. So
speaking of that, Bill, let's go right to our next topic because all of a sudden Alexei Kolosov jumped on a plane and in short order got to Philadelphia and was on the ice the next day. This has been such a bizarre offseason in a lot of ways. From Michkov, really going back to Fedotov, all of a sudden, Fedottov's coming over. Huh?
All of a sudden, right after, he's not coming.
Like, what the heck is going on? Yeah. And then, the offseason, Michkov's coming over now, 2 years early? And then it's Kolosov's not coming. And you're like, well, why isn't he coming? It's been bizarre, but now all of a sudden he's coming. And he's here. He was in practice. Yeah. Looked pretty sharp in practice, too, by the way he moves. What does this do? I know McAnemy just got assigned to the Phantoms, but what does the presence of Alexei Kolosov do? He's now battling along with Ivan Fedotov. I think Sam Ersson put a big marker down with the 37-save shutout.
Yeah.
But surprised he came over?
Oh, well, I figured he might ultimately come over.
Yeah.
Just because he was sitting home in Minsk, not playing for anybody. The season's already started there. Like, what are you doing, right?
Yeah. And Danny drew a line in the sand and he held firm.
And Danny will speak today, apparently, and kind of explain what the deal is. The Flyers, I'm sure, had to give a little here, but okay, stay for X amount of time, however many weeks, 6 weeks or whatever. I mean, I knew this whole thing that he came over to negotiate a termination made zero sense. Zero.
No, he's not getting on a plane for that.
Yeah. There's no need to. And why would the Flyers terminate the deal anyway? All you do is toll him, right? Yeah. If he refuses to play, that you have all the leverage here. He has none. So why would you in year 2 of his entry level contract? Why on earth would you terminate him? You wouldn't.
Yeah.
But with 3 games this week, I figure probably on the island because then you're going to want to have your main guys go in the final 2 exhibitions.
Yep.
So I would think Monday would be a game where he would see some time, maybe split the game since it would be his first exhibition. So I think he'll get a chance. He and because I thought McAnemy has had a pretty good camp actually in his own right.
Yeah.
The two of them can compete for time. If you carry 3 goalies, one advantage in the American League is there is not a roster limit.
Yeah.
Kyle Peterson is not the future. I mean, he's only signed through this season, and
he's not even the present.
Yeah, exactly. Probably not even the present. I mean, I think we get injured. I do. Yeah. I think that he's in a situation where, he trying to stay in game shape and he had a pretty rough first outing too.
Montreal.
So in that game, this was 1-0 going in the third period. I didn't like the 2-0 goal, and then it wasn't necessarily the goals were bad goals, but he couldn't stop the bleeding, and that's a big piece.
And we've been down that road before.
Yeah, and then so I think that there's a chance here for Kolosov because it'll compete for time in the American League, but B, it really keeps the pressure on Fedotov.
Yeah.
And I thought Fedotov kind of had an interesting game against the Bruins. I thought he was very shaky early on. I thought it was all over the map, and even then, like although I thought he settled in, albeit not seeing many pucks, which can be after the first period, because first period he saw a ton of pucks. Really, I think Boston had 5 of the first 6 shots on goal, maybe even all 5 of them. So he's very busy early on. There's a puck that's passed him. He's kind of not great positioning on that whole shift. You and I were in the press box talking. You were pointing some things out. So he didn't start out looking very good. He settled in a little bit, but it was encouraging because he battled through it and settled in and ultimately won the game. But I don't think he put an exclamation point on it overall. There's still an opportunity. The point here is with Kolosov is if he plays well, not just the game he'll play in, but also going to the Phantoms, trying to take the decided number 1 job there, which he'll split time. He'll have to earn time. Hanging with it, showing some competitiveness and resolve to stick with it a little bit. There might be an opportunity from before he knows it, and that's but nothing's going to be handed to him. But there is an opportunity. There's an avenue. He just has to take it. That's all.
Yeah, and show that competitiveness and resolve to get it, and don't expect it to be handed. For me, the whole thing with Kolosov, I mean, he and Fedotov are almost so opposite, but yet they both need to show the same thing: the ability to read plays, anticipate the game, and deal with traffic. One guy's huge; he deals with traffic by looking over it. The other guy's got to be able to look around it and find paths.
Yeah.
But it's going to come down to play reading in the NHL. I mean, they attack you so different in the KHL compared to the NHL. How that plays out should be fascinating. I want to see him. I like to see him at least get 2 periods in the game tonight, and then you kind of go from there. I mean, maybe give him the whole game because McAnamy's been sent down, so perhaps you give him the whole contest and against the Islanders, especially with it being a back-to-back Monday and Tuesday. Flyers and Islanders tonight. Tomorrow night, Flyers and Bruins also on the road, and they'll wrap up the preseason Thursday at home against the New Jersey Devils. That's going to wrap things up there, too, as well. Bill, read his work at PhiladelphiaFlyers.com, NHL.com, and HockeyBuzz.com, and we'll be back Wednesday with another brand-new Flyers Daily.